Sometimes your phone rings, and you look at the screen like it's asking something from you emotionally. Not because you hate people, not because you don't know how to talk, but because real-time conversation feels strangely exposing, so you let it ring. You tell yourself you'll call back later, but deep down, you know it's not the phone call you're avoiding. It's the feeling of being emotionally unprepared. Let us know why this happens, but before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Sometimes your phone rings, and even if it is someone you like, your chest becomes tight. You stare at the screen. You let it ring for a few seconds. Maybe you hope they hang up first, and afterward, you feel guilty for avoiding something so small. Because other people seem to do it naturally. They answer. They talk. They move through conversations without overthinking every second. So why does a simple voice call feel emotionally exhausting to you? The strange part is, it is usually not the conversation itself you fear. It is the feeling of being mentally exposed in real time. Text messages give your brain distance. You can pause, edit, think, control how you appear. But voice calls remove that layer. There is no time to rehearse your personality, no chance to carefully organize your emotions before someone hears them. And for certain minds, that creates a hidden form of psychological threat, especially if you grew up feeling emotionally monitored. Maybe people reacted strongly to your tone. Maybe you learned that saying the wrong thing could create conflict, embarrassment, or rejection. So your nervous system slowly started associating spontaneous speaking with danger, not physical danger, social danger. And the brain takes social danger very seriously. Because from an evolutionary perspective, being rejected by your group once meant isolation, and isolation once meant survival risk. So now, even a normal phone call can activate a subtle stress response. Your brain begins scanning for mistakes before the conversation even starts. What if you sound awkward? What if there is silence? What if your energy feels wrong? The call becomes less about communication and more about self-protection. This is why many people who are thoughtful, self-aware, or emotionally sensitive often struggle with calls more than expected. Your mind is constantly simulating outcomes. Psychologists call this anticipatory processing. The brain tries to predict social outcomes before they happen. And while that sounds useful, too much prediction creates paralysis. It is like opening 20 tabs in your mind before saying one sentence. Eventually, the brain treats interaction like a performance instead of connection. And something else happens during voice calls that most people never notice. You lose visual control. In person, your brain can read facial expressions, body language, tiny reactions. Texting gives full emotional distance. But calls sit in the middle. You cannot fully see the other person, yet you are emotionally immediate with them. For the brain, that ambiguity can feel strangely unsafe, especially for people who already overanalyze emotional signals. This is why silence on a phone call can feel heavier than silence in real life. Your brain fills the missing information with imagined judgment, not because you are irrational, because the human brain hates uncertainty, and uncertainty often gets translated into threat. But here's the important part. This pattern is not weakness, it is adaptation. Your nervous system learned to prioritize caution in situations where emotional unpredictability once felt uncomfortable. The problem is not that your brain is defective. The problem is that your brain became too focused on managing perception instead of experiencing connection. And once you understand that, the solution changes completely. You stop trying to be more confident. Instead, you teach your nervous system that conversation is not performance. One way to start is by reducing the pressure of immediacy. Instead of forcing long calls, leave short voice notes. This works because the brain slowly learns that your voice can exist without catastrophic outcomes. Another step is allowing imperfect pauses. Most people think socially comfortable. Individuals never experience awkward silence. They do. Their brain simply does not interpret silence as danger. That is an important difference. You can also shift attention away from self-monitoring. During calls, notice how often your attention is turned inward. How do I sound? Was that weird? Am I talking too much? The more attention stays on self-evaluation, the less emotional energy remains for actual connection. Behavioral psychology shows that anxiety intensifies when attention becomes self-focused. So instead, anchor yourself in curiosity. What is this person actually feeling? What are they trying to say beneath their words? Connection becomes easier when your mind stops treating itself like a live performance review. And slowly, your nervous system begins updating its prediction. Maybe calls are not danger. Maybe they are simply unedited human moments. That is why healing this fear is not about becoming more impressive. It is about becoming more emotionally safe with imperfection. Because in the end, the people who truly feel easy to talk to are usually the people who stopped trying so hard to sound perfect.